guys, it's Amy Gretchen. So in this video, I'm shifting away from memory keeping for a minute and we're going to talk a little bit about photography. So I was recently reminded from Pam Baldwin of this technique where you can change the shape of your bokeh. So this is something she did in one of her December daily projects that she will be sharing in the December daily prep party. And we thought it would be really awesome to do a tutorial because we figured so many of you would want to do this technique as well because it just makes your photo a little extra special. So this is something that I had done so long ago. I can't even remember when, maybe 08, 09, it doesn't matter because this technique has been around for a really long time. So normally your bokeh, or when objects or lights in your background can get really big and round, that's because the shape of your lens is round. But if we manipulate that shape and change the shape, that means your bokeh is going to have a different shape. And I'm telling you, it is super easy to do and it is so magical. I promise this is something that you guys are going to want to give a try. So let's hop to my desk and I will show you how to make it. Quickly, before we get started with our project, I wanted to show you what we're going to be making and just how much use mine has received over the years. So this is something I created years ago, stuck into my camera bag, and I haven't used it in a really long time. And I'm thinking now is time to kind of bust this out. You can see just how worn and well loved this is and just really how easy this would be to make. All right, you guys, so I'm hopping on here because I'm in the middle of editing my footage and I realized the transition was a little bit wonky. And you're probably thinking, what is that black thing? Why do we need it? And why are we making it? So this black thing that I just showed you, that is what we are going to be making. And it is what is going to cover our lens and allow us to get the shape bokeh. You can see that I had a heart shape. You could make this into any shape that you wanted. And then that is the bokeh effect that you're going to get. So let's go back to my desk and I'm going to show you how to make it. A couple things that we're going to need. We are going to need some black paper. This could be construction paper. It can be black cardstock, whatever you have. I like to use black. I think black is best because of how you're taking the pictures, but totally up to you. You could try it with maybe another gray or something like that. You're going to need an X-Acto or some scissors. I really love the idea of using an X-Acto because as you can see, I liked cutting out the middle here. You could definitely still do that with scissors and then, cutting out your shape. So some other things that you may be interested in using is some punches. So these are the punches that I could find. I couldn't find the heart punch. I definitely used a heart punch when I created this, but I couldn't find that exact one. So I have this one with a different shape. And then this is a flower one. Keep in mind, you can do this with a square. You could do this with a Christmas tree. You could do this with initials. I've seen initials. You could do this with basically anything. You do not need a punch. However, you could just, like I said, use an X-Acto and do whatever shape you want. And then the other thing I wanted to, you're definitely going to need a lens. So I have a 50 millimeter lens here. This is a cheap 1.8, but you definitely want a lens that's going to be, have a wide aperture. So this one is a 1.8, and then this one right here is the Canon 24-70. This is a 2.8. So I believe you could do this with like an f4, but you just want something that is going to be able to be wide open, so you're going to get some really good bokeh with it. But you definitely want your lens on hand because we are going to measure this. That is why we need that pencil. But I wanted to share with you, I literally put this together in probably 2 minutes, no joke. So these ones I created on my silhouette. I wasn't exactly sure what size heart I needed. What I ended up doing is this one is fitting for the 50. I just measured it out here, said 2 inches. You can see that it fits in there nicely. You don't have to have yours tucked inside. Yours could be on the outside if you wanted. But anyway, I took the measurements. I actually grabbed a heart shape from Google. I traced it and then I cut it out. Honestly, it took me 2 minutes. So if you have a silhouette, you have black cardstock, that is what I would do because then you could use any shape that you could find on the internet. If you don't, I'm going to show you a really easy way to do it. I don't believe I had the silhouette, as you can tell, when I created this. Works fine. So this one actually, you can see that it's bigger than my lens here, and that's because I fit it inside of a hood. I do not have my hood. I haven't had my hood in a while. I think it's probably somewhere in a box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this upside down. You could probably do this without your camera body if you wanted, but I rarely take this off. And then I traced around with a pencil. And now I'm going to, in fact, you know what I'm going to do right now? I think I'm going to make a rectangle. Now, the thing that's really awesome about doing a rectangle like this is then you could do a whole bunch of different shapes and then you could change your shape. If you want to do it more like this, you could draw the circle and then you could just cut out your shape here. But I like to do the rectangle, and that's indicated here. You can see that I've got a rectangle here. And like I said, that way you can, on the fly, you're like, oh, I want hearts, got hearts. Oh, I would like to do stars for more like Christmassy feel. You can do stars. All right, now I'm going to cut this out. And I honestly don't think this needs to be exact. You could make this as fancy or as basic as you like, but keep in mind, I like to make sure that it's flat. I've seen people that have created a cone, but I like it flat because then you can just stick it in your camera bag or stick it in your bag and you have it on hand anytime you want it. All right, so now I'm just, just to make sure I know how big that is, I am going to punch my flower into this shape. And we just want it to be bigger than the hole. Again, does not need to be precise, just like that. And then we just need to get some tape and tape it on. And I'm just going to use some washi tape because it's here. You can see that I just used some clear tape. It's so dirty, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever you have on hand. And this is what's sitting on my desk. And we're just going to tape this on. And it might be good actually to use something like washi tape because then you could take this off and switch out, if you wanted to do a star. So let's see how this fits. So this fits pretty well. If I want to trim this down a little bit so it sits along the rim here, I could definitely do that. Or what you could do is take tape. I've actually seen people just hold it up over their lens. I like to have a little bit more control, so I don't like to do that, but you could definitely do that if you wanted. I am just going to take a little bit of tape and tape it down. Keeping in mind, I'm probably going to want to move this lens because it is not a fixed lens. If you have a fixed lens, it's not going to matter. You could just tape it down. A fixed lens is this. It doesn't move at all, like where this one is a zoom. Fixed lenses tend to be sharper. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of fixed lenses because I'm super lazy and I don't want to move around a lot. All right, so that was it. Like literally, how long did that take us? That did not take us any time at all. And now let's go make some magic. All right, you guys, so before we go out and start shooting, there is a couple settings that I want to make sure you are aware of. So this bokeh is really going to come out when your lens is wide open, which means the number of the aperture needs to be really low, or as low as you can get it. This lens is 50 millimeter, goes to a 1.8, and so that is what I'm going to change my lens to. So you either want to change your settings to manual or to aperture priority. I have mine set to aperture priority because that's actually how I shoot all the time, but you can have it on manual if that's how you shoot, but definitely you want to favor aperture because that is what we want to set. Then however you set your aperture with your camera, And then I'm changing it down to a 1.8. I don't know if you can see it, but now it is at a 1.8. So it's wide open. And that's one thing that I love about this lens. It is a very fast lens. Then of course I can do the same for this. This is a 2.8. So I will be able to change that when I switch my lenses. So the next setting that we want to change is on our lens. So on our lens, you can see, and this is obviously going to depend on the lens that you have. I have Canon. There is an automatic focus and a manual focus. And we want this to be on manual focus, because if it's on automatic, our camera's gonna want to try and focus in on something. But if it's on manual, then it's going to allow us to do the focusing, because what we want to do is really not focus. This technique is really, really great when you're doing a blurry image. Think like doing a photo of lights and making the lights really blurry. So you definitely want to have it on manual mode. So now we are ready to go out and start shooting. All right, so I've got my Canon that you saw with the 50mm attached, and I'm using the heart filter that I created with my silhouette. And I just walked down the street towards the end of the street. There is an intersection, and intersections make a really great place for some bokeh, because you can see that you're getting a lot of really cool lights. And I'm showing you this on my video. Number one, I wanted you to realize if your camera is equipped with video, then you definitely could do this with video as well, and you're getting that same bokeh shape. And number two, I really wanted you to understand what was going on inside of my camera. So I'm pointing at where I want to take my shot, and then I'm adjusting my focus. You can see now my focus is like way off in the distance, and now I'm really beginning to blur out that image, and I'm getting some hearts. And you can see the more I blur, the bigger the hearts get, and the less I blur, the smaller the hearts get. So you can really decide how you want your image to look, and you can just play with that focus. I think this is such a magical technique. Now, this is something you don't have to do in the night. Here are some examples of things that I've done during the day. You just need to be able to get a really good bokeh. And of course, you could definitely do this with a subject as well. I don't have an example to show you, but just make sure that you are close enough to your subject that you're getting a really good blurred out background, and then you'll be able to capture whatever shape filter you have created. All right, you guys, so now you know how to do this on your DSLR, but what about that camera that you always have in your pocket, which is your phone? Is it possible to do this same technique on your phone? You know, I've done a lot of research over the years trying to figure that out, and I have not seen a great way to do it just out of camera, but there are certain apps out there, like the Focus app, that will allow you to change the shape of your bokeh, and I think this works better when the photo is set up just right. But let me take you to the Focus app and show you how you can create a similar look on your phone. So I like to do this with the Focus app. I believe there are a ton of different photo apps out there that you could do a similar technique. What you're going to want to do is open your image. And what I meant by an ideal image is an image that's got some light or some kind of object in the background that's going to blur out and allow you to get this bokeh. The next thing I want to do is go over to the focus button, and I'm going to toggle it all the way up because I want the majority of my image to be blurred out except for right there in the foreground. And then I'm going to go over to my shape tool, and I'm going to click on some different shapes. So the first shapes that you saw, those ones are actually going to be free, but these more fun shapes that I'm looking through right now, I believe come with the paid version of the app. So if you just want the free version, then those basic shapes are going to be available to you. And honestly, sometimes I think this gets a little bit crazy, but it's definitely a lot of fun to be able to play with and see how you can change your bokeh. So then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size of my aperture. And as I make my aperture a lot wider, you can see that then the shape of the bokeh gets larger. And as I shrink it down, then the shape of my bokeh is going to get a little bit smaller. So you can definitely play with both the size and the shape of your bokeh, so you have an infinite amount of choices, or maybe not infinite, but close to infinite amount of choices. So once you're done, then just go ahead and save right to your camera roll, and then you're ready to use it however you'd like. All right, you guys, so that is it. That's how you change your bokeh into circles into completely different shapes. So I hope that you will have a lot of fun, especially during this holiday season, capturing that bokeh with your twinkle lights and having fun playing with the different shapes. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below and I will definitely get to them. All right, you guys, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Why do I look so massive compared to you?
Because okay, ready?
I literally don't think I can be serious.
Okay. This is gonna be hard to do with you on my lap.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do it.
Yeah.